as I was watching the last day of Big Ten Media Days, I found myself waiting, trying to find out when Dan Lanning was going to speak and what Dan Lanning was going to say, because I've come to really understand I love Dan Lanning, and I think there's good reasons as to why. So off the top, I think that Dan Lanning is the closest thing that we might have to Dan Campbell in college football, and a man that knows who he is, knows what he has, and is unafraid of being confident in what he's doing. He also has this tendency to riverboat gamble on fourth and gotta have it in games where it's like, hey, dog, let the defense go do what the defense does. You're defensive coordinator, right? Nope. He wants to go win football games, and he will stand on those decisions. I love that. You made a decision. You knew why you made that decision, and you were not defending it so much as you're going, hey, I'm a big boy. I know what I did, and I know why I did it. I can handle it. He's also had a program that has been thirsty to be great for at least 30 years, man. I don't mean this to sound insincere or like a dig at Oregon fans, but it's you really didn't have any tradition that we cared about as college football fans until we're talking about the early 1990s, and then didn't come into a space where we knew who you were until Joey Harrington started doing things, and then we get into just who Oregon has been the last 20 years. Among them, with two different head coaches, they've won 10 games or more for the last 5 seasons. They've gone into Columbus, and they've got to win against Ohio State. It's just they can't quite get over the top to win the conference championship, and that is what they are the sexy pick to do in their first year in the Big Ten Conference. It's been wild to watch Oregon's come up because every time I think they've got it together, they drop 2 to Utah, right? Or they drop a game they shouldn't to Washington. Or they catch Washington in a year in which they're great, or Oregon State in a year in which they're on the come up. They come back from getting absolutely destroyed by Georgia in Dan Lanning's first year, and all they've done is go 22-5 in his first 2 years at Oregon, while Lincoln Riley has gone 19-8 in his first 2 years at USC. He is a man that knows exactly what he has. And forgive me for the Formula One terms here, because I know some of y'all don't do the sports car, but I hope you all understand where I'm coming from when I say this. I look at Dan Lanning the way I look at Christian Horner. When that man knows he's got a fast car, he is dangerous, and he is confident, and he is unflinching in his resolve, okay? He also has what he thinks is a great race car driver in Dillon Gabriel, who at this point has become America's #1 transfer portal all-team guy. Usually you get a guy out of the transfer portal, and he comes with a lot of acclaim. He comes with a lot of talent, but he ain't one of your guys. He's a rental, right? Kind of like Jalen Hurts was a rental at Oklahoma. Sam Hartman was a rental at Notre Dame. In Dillon Gabriel, it feels like Dillon Gabriel's coming home. Like the dude from Hawaii who followed his teammate from Hawaii, Mackenzie Milton, to UCF, made a stop at Oklahoma, is now coming back to the place he always wanted to be, playing at the school where Marcus Mariota won the Heisman, wearing Marcus Mariota's number, and in a year in which Oregon is supposed to be great, Dillon can ascend to the top of the passing charts or the greatest statistical passer of all time. I've given the stat before, but I want to give it again as we're in Big Ten Media Days, and that was one of the guys that Dan Lanning chose to bring. Gabriel didn't have a great year last year, but it was a good year last year, okay? And because he had a good year last year, we're looking at a guy who has passed for 14,865 yards through his career right now, ranks number 8 on the all-time passer list. Last year in Will Stein's offense, Bo Nix threw for 4,100 yards, 40 TDs with just 3 picks. If Gabriel can pass for 4,353 yards, he'll become the NCAA's all-time leading passer, passing Case Keenum, who threw for 19,217 yards at Houston, and he's got dudes to do it with. Terrence Ferguson is a dude at tight end. He's got Tez Johnson returning. He's added Evan Stewart. Trayshawn Holden is probably the best wide receiver that we don't talk about enough. And he's got a defense that can help carry him. Now, I think that their schedule is tough, okay? 2023 record, the guys they're going to play, I mean, we're talking about Florida, USC, Northwestern, Georgia Tech, Oregon, respectively. The Ducks look like they could run the table, so I guess it looks tough in Big Ten play, but not necessarily tough anywhere else. I guess we're going to find out for sure about Oregon when they play Ohio State. They welcome Ohio State to Austin. You heard me talk about that game. I'll continue to talk about that game. But Oregon's 2023 opponents went 101-57. So on like record, it looks tough. But it doesn't feel insurmountable. What feels like going on is Oregon is going to try to do what Red Bull had done in 2021 going into 2022 against Mercedes, who had run the sport, run F1 for the better part of a decade. The 2010s belonged to the Mercedes AMG Petronas. Oregon is looking to make that sort of leap in their first year in the Big Ten, and it would chap Big Ten lifers' behinds to see Oregon come through in year one and win this conference when it is ballooned to 18 teams and is the second most important and powerful conference in football. But I think they got a guy. They got a guy, and Lanning knows what they got, and they're really great at marketing. Like that big inflatable duck that was on the pond also reminds me when Mario Cristobal and them went to Ohio State and got that win, two small duck fans, children, left a rubber ducky in the middle of the O Block, and it went viral, and it took over the day for college football. Now you're seeing that Oregon is bringing all of themselves and all of their marketing prowess to the Big Ten, and they're doing it in Indianapolis, a place where they have never played for a conference championship. They are looking to throw down a marker as one of those programs that we just simply must keep an eye on. I think Lanning's tendency to also point toward all the members of his staff is sincere in a way that I don't always believe that it is with other coaches. Like, I think Will Stein is a head coach in waiting somewhere. I think he's one of the best coordinators in football. I also think that Lanning went out of his way to be like, look, that dude's the first person to tell you all the other coaches make him better. And he is an elite problem solver. He will work with what they have on the roster to make something go. And that's a theme you're hearing from head coaches when they look at coordinators. They want fixers. They want guys that didn't come in with an offense that they're comfortable with so much as they came in with an offensive philosophy that they are comfortable with, that they would like to see implemented in stages. So if you got guys that can only run the ball, just run the parts of the playbook that are running the ball. Same thing with passing the ball. Find out who your playmakers are and build a strategy around them. And Will Stein has been able to do that. I, frankly, am very excited to see what Oregon can do, especially as we get into November, if they are in the hunt for the Big Ten title race. And I don't see a reason as to why they wouldn't be.